Happy Valentine's! Huh? Guess I'm the punchline. She promised me forever, but she was planning betrayal.
The bouquet cost me $200, but watching my wife's face when I walked into her office that Valentine's Day afternoon, that was priceless. Just not in the way I'd expected. My name is Nick Harlan, and I used to think I knew my wife. The elevator doors opened on the 15th floor of Meridian Tech's gleaming headquarters, and something felt wrong immediately. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and everyone stops talking? Yeah, that was happening, except nobody had the decency to look embarrassed about it. I'd spent the morning planning this surprise. 2 tickets to Paris tucked inside my jacket pocket, reservations at Le Grand Vefour for tonight, and these ridiculous red roses that Elise always claimed to love. After 18 years of marriage, I figured I had her figured out. I was spectacularly wrong about that. Nick! Brianna Chen, one of Elise's coworkers, practically squeaked my name. Her face had gone the color of old milk. What are you doing here? Surprising my wife for Valentine's Day, I said, holding up the bouquet. Is she in her office? The silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. 20-something faces stared at me with expressions ranging from pity to barely concealed amusement. Paul Martinez, the office gossip who'd always kissed up to Elise, actually took a step backward. Nick, Brianna said again, her voice softer now. Maybe you should— There he is, Victor Crane's voice boomed across the open office space. The CEO himself, striding toward me with his arms spread wide like we were old friends. Which we weren't. I'd met the guy maybe 3 times at company parties, and each time he'd struck me as the kind of person who practiced his handshake in the mirror. Victor, I nodded, confused by his sudden friendliness. Is Elise around? I wanted to surprise her. Oh, she's going to be surprised, all right, Victor said. And something in his tone made my stomach drop. He was grinning, but it was the kind of grin you see on a shark right before it bites. That's when I saw her. Elise emerged from the conference room, and she looked stunning. Her dark hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, and she was wearing that blue dress I'd bought her for Christmas. But it wasn't her appearance that stopped me cold. It was the massive diamond ring on her left hand. The ring that definitely wasn't the modest band I'd given her 18 years ago. Congratulations, someone shouted from across the office. When's the wedding? Called another voice. Elise's eyes met mine across the room, and I watched her face cycle through about 6 different emotions in the span of 2 seconds. Shock, guilt, defiance, and finally something that looked almost like relief. Victor walked over to her and, right there in front of God and everyone, pulled her into a kiss that lasted about 10 seconds too long for a workplace setting. When they broke apart, he kept his arm around her waist possessively. Everyone, Victor announced, his voice carrying easily across the suddenly quiet office. I want you all to know that Elise has made me the happiest man alive by agreeing to be my wife. The applause started slowly, then built to a crescendo. Someone popped a bottle of champagne. Brianna actually started crying happy tears, and I stood there holding $200 worth of roses, feeling like I'd been hit by a freight train. Nick. Elise's voice was barely above a whisper, but I heard her clearly. She detached herself from Victor and was walking toward me, her heels clicking on the polished concrete floor. Congratulations, I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. When's the big day? Nick, I can explain. Can you? I looked at the ring again. It was huge. Probably cost more than my truck. Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty self-explanatory. Victor appeared at Elise's shoulder, still wearing that shark grin. Nick, right? Elise has told me so much about you. Has she? I shifted the bouquet to my left hand and extended my right. Victor shook it, his grip just a little too firm, held just a little too long. Funny, she's never mentioned you at all. The color drained from Elise's face. Nick, please, not here. Why not here? I looked around at the crowd of faces watching our little drama unfold. Seems like everyone else already knows. I'm apparently the last one to get the memo. It's not like that, Elise said, but her voice lacked conviction. What's it like then? I asked. Because it looks like my wife just got engaged to another man while she's still married to me. But hey, maybe I'm misreading the situation. Paul Martinez had his phone out, probably recording the whole thing for social media. Brianna was still crying, but they looked more like tears of embarrassment now. The champagne had stopped flowing. Victor stepped slightly in front of Elise, a protective gesture that made my jaw clench. Look, Nick, I know this is awkward. Awkward? I laughed, and it came out harsher than I intended. My wife getting engaged to her boss at her office Valentine's Day party while I'm standing here with flowers is awkward? No, Victor. Awkward is when you accidentally walk into the wrong bathroom. This is something else entirely. We need to talk, Elise said. Privately. Do we? I looked at her for a long moment. Really looked at her. The woman I'd married, the mother of my son, the person I'd trusted with everything I had. You know what, Elise? I think you've said everything I need to hear. I walked over to the nearest desk and set the bouquet down. The roses looked ridiculous against the sleek white surface, like a splash of blood on fresh snow. Nick, wait! Elise called after me, but I was already walking toward the elevator. The doors opened immediately, like the universe was doing me a favor for once. As I stepped inside and turned around, I saw the entire office watching me. Elise had tears running down her cheeks. Victor looked uncomfortable for the first time since I'd arrived, and everyone else just looked relieved that the show was over. Enjoy the party, I said as the doors closed. The elevator descended in silence, and I pulled out my phone. 18 missed calls from Jamie, my 16-year-old son. He'd been texting me all morning, asking if I was sure about surprising Mom at work. Smart kid. Smarter than his old man, apparently. I called him back as I walked through the lobby. Dad? Jamie's voice was tight with worry. Are you okay? I've been trying to call you. I'm fine, son. Just leaving your mother's office. How did it go? I pushed through the glass doors into the February cold. The sky was the color of old concrete, and there was slush everywhere from the morning snow. Perfect weather for the worst day of my life. Well, I said, your mother's getting married. What, Dad? That doesn't make sense. She's already married to you. Yeah, I said, fishing my keys out of my pocket. That's what I thought, too. I climbed into my truck and started the engine. My phone was already buzzing with notifications. Texts, missed calls, Facebook messages. Word was spreading fast. But I wasn't ready to deal with any of that yet. Instead, I pulled up my banking app and started canceling things. The Paris trip, the dinner reservations, the joint credit cards, the automatic deposits into our shared accounts. By the time I got home, I'd canceled everything that connected me financially to Elise Harlan. Everything except the house. And I was working on that too. My phone rang. Elise. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again, immediately. Then again. On the fourth call, I answered, What? Nick, please, you have to let me explain. Explain what? That you've been cheating on me with your boss? That you got engaged to another man while you're still married to me? That you humiliated me in front of your entire office? It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. I was sitting in my driveway now, staring at the house we'd bought together 12 years ago. The house where we'd raised our son, where we'd planned our future, where I'd thought we were happy. I love him, Nick. Those 4 words hit me harder than anything else she could have said. Not, I'm sorry, or I made a mistake, or even, I never meant for you to find out like that. I love him. How long? I asked. Silence. How long, Elise? 6 months. 6 months. While I'd been working 60-hour weeks to build my construction business, while I'd been planning romantic surprises, while I'd been living my life like everything was normal, my wife had been living a completely different life with another man. The divorce papers will be ready Monday, I said. Nick, wait. I hung up and turned off my phone. Jamie's car was in the driveway. He'd knocking me home from school, probably skipped his last class when he couldn't reach me. Good kid. He deserved better than having his family implode on Valentine's Day. I found him in the kitchen, doing homework at the counter like it was any other day. But I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he was gripping his pencil too tight. Hey, Dad. He didn't look up from his math problems. Hey, yourself. I sat down across from him. We need to talk. Now he looked up, and I saw myself in his dark eyes, the same eyes that used to look at me with unconditional trust. I hoped that wouldn't change after today. Mom's really getting married to someone else? Looks that way. Are you getting divorced? Yes. Jamie nodded slowly, like he'd been expecting this answer. Are you okay? Was I okay? My wife of 18 years had just publicly humiliated me in the most spectacular way possible. My marriage was over. My family was broken. My son was looking at me like I might fall apart at any moment. But sitting there in my kitchen, looking at the one person in the world who still gave a damn about me, I realized something surprising. I was angry. Furious, actually, but I wasn't broken. I'm going to be fine, I told Jamie. We both are. And for the first time since I'd walked into that office, I meant it. My phone had been buzzing nonstop for 3 hours. 47 missed calls, 32 text messages, and enough Facebook notifications to crash a server. I'd turned the ringer off, but the screen kept lighting up like a strobe light every few seconds. Jamie was pretending to do homework, but I could tell he was watching me out of the corner of his eye, waiting to see if his old man was going to have a complete breakdown or punch a hole in the wall. Neither, as it turned out. Instead, I was doing something much more therapeutic, systematically dismantling 18 years of shared finances with the cold precision of a surgeon. Dad? Jamie finally gave up the pretense of studying algebra. What are you doing? Taking care of business. I didn't look up from my laptop screen. Did you know your mother has been using our joint credit card to buy gifts for her boyfriend? Expensive gifts. Very expensive. I turned the screen toward him. The credit card statement showed charges at jewelry stores, high-end restaurants, a weekend getaway to some fancy resort upstate. All in the last 3 months, all while she was telling me we needed to cut back on household expenses. Jamie's jaw tightened. She bought him stuff with your money? Our money, I corrected, but not anymore. I'd already transferred my business accounts to a different bank. Changed the passwords on everything, canceled the credit cards, removed Elise as a beneficiary on my life insurance. It was amazing how much of a shared life you could unravel with a few mouse clicks and phone calls. My phone lit up again. This time, it was a number I didn't recognize. Nick Harlan, I answered. Mr. Harlan? This is David Chen from First National. I'm calling about the irregularities in your account activity today. What kind of irregularities? Well, sir, you've made several large transfers and account closures in a very short period. Our fraud detection system flagged it as potentially suspicious activity. I almost laughed. It's not fraud, David. It's divorce. Oh, there was a pause. I see. Well, in that case, is there anything else we can help you with today? Actually, yes. I need to know about removing someone from a joint mortgage. I can transfer you to our mortgage department. That would be great. While I was on hold, Jamie came over and sat down next to me. Dad, can I tell you something? Always. I knew about Mom and that guy. I looked at him sharply. What do you mean, you knew? I saw them together about 2 months ago. I was at the mall with friends and I saw Mom having lunch with this older guy. They were holding hands and stuff. Jamie's face was flushed with embarrassment. I thought maybe it was just a friend or something, but the way they were looking at each other. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know what to say, and I kept hoping I was wrong. He stared at his hands. I'm sorry, Dad. I should have said something. No. I closed the laptop and turned to face him fully. You shouldn't have had to say anything. That wasn't your responsibility, Jamie. That was between your mother and me. But if I had told you, then I would have found out 2 months ago instead of today. The end result would have been the same. My phone started ringing again. Elise, for the 20th time. This time I answered. What do you want, Elise? Nick, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for hours. I've been busy. Look, I know you're angry. Angry? I stood up and walked to the window. Our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, was walking her dog, same as she did every day at 5 o'clock. Normal life, continuing on like nothing had happened. Angry doesn't begin to cover it. Can we please just talk face to face? About what? About how you've been screwing your boss for 6 months while I've been working my A off to support our family? About how you got engaged to another man while you're still married to me? About how you humiliated me in front of your entire office? I never meant for you to find out like that. How did you mean for me to find out? Were you planning to tell me at all, or were you just going to let me figure it out when the divorce papers showed up? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. Victor wants to meet with you. Victor can go to hell. Nick, please. He feels terrible about how this happened. He feels terrible? I laughed, and it came out bitter. Your boyfriend feels terrible that he got caught publicly humiliating another man. How noble of him. He's not just my boyfriend. He's my fiancé. While you're still married to me, he's your boyfriend, and you're still an adulteress. Don't call me that. Why not? It's what you are. I could hear her crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no urge to comfort her, no instinct to apologize for being harsh. That surprised me. After 18 years of marriage, my first instinct had always been to make her feel better when she was upset. Not anymore. I want half of everything, she said suddenly. Excuse me? In the divorce, I want half of the house, half of your business, half of the savings accounts. I'm entitled to it. And there it was. The real Elise. The one I'd apparently been married to all along without knowing it. Not the heartbroken woman who'd made a mistake, but the calculating person who was already planning how to profit from her betrayal. You're not entitled to anything, I said quietly. That's not how divorce works in this state, Nick. I know my rights. Do you? Because I've been doing some research this afternoon, and it turns out that infidelity is still grounds for fault-based divorce in this state, which means you might not be as entitled as you think. Another silence. You can't prove infidelity. Can't I? I pulled up the credit card statements on my laptop again. Romantic dinners, hotel rooms, jewelry purchases, all documented, all paid for with marital funds. Plus, I'm sure your coworkers would be happy to testify about your relationship with Victor, especially after today's little performance. Nick. Plus, I'm betting Victor's not the first. A woman doesn't get that good at lying overnight. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm going to hire a private investigator and we're going to take a very close look at your activities over the past few years. Every late night at the office, every business trip, every girl's weekend that I never heard about afterward. You're being paranoid. Am I? Because right now I'm wondering if anything you've told me in the last 5 years has been true. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. Mike Rodriguez. He answered on the second ring. Mike, it's Nick Harlan. I need to file for divorce. Jesus, Nick, what happened? I gave him the short version. Mike whistled low when I finished. She got engaged to another guy while still married to you. In public? In front of her entire office. Well, that's going to make this easier. Infidelity, public humiliation, dissipation of marital assets. We can work with this. How long will it take? Depends on how cooperative she wants to be. If she fights it could be a year or more. If she's smart and settles quickly, maybe 6 months. I want her out of the house. I can file for exclusive use and occupancy. Given the circumstances, we'll probably get it. Do it. Nick, I have to ask. Are you sure about this? Sometimes people do stupid things, but that doesn't mean the marriage is over. If you think there's any chance, there's no chance, Mike. Okay then, I'll start the paperwork tonight. After I hung up, Jamie looked at me with something that might have been admiration. You're really going to kick her out? This is my house, Jamie. I bought it, I pay the mortgage, and I'm not going to be driven out of my own home because your mother decided to blow up our family. What about me? Where am I going to live? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. In all my anger and planning, I hadn't thought about the custody battle that was coming. Elise would fight for Jamie, not because she particularly wanted him, but because she'd want to hurt me. You'll live wherever you want to live, I said. You're 16. The court will listen to your preference. I want to stay with you, even if it means changing schools. If your mother moves in with Victor, she might want to take you with her. Jamie shook his head firmly. I'm not living with that guy, and I'm not leaving you alone. Smart kid. Too smart for his own good, maybe. My phone buzzed with a text message, not from Elise this time, but from a number I didn't recognize. This is Victor. We need to talk. I showed the message to Jamie, who rolled his eyes. What are you going to tell him? I thought about it for a moment, then typed back. No, we don't. The response came immediately. I think we do. There are things you don't understand about the situation. Like what? Like the fact that Elise has been unhappy for years. Like the fact that your marriage has been over for a long time, whether you want to admit it or not. I stared at the message, feeling my jaw clench. This son of a witch was going to lecture me about my own marriage? You don't know anything about my marriage. I know more than you think. Elise has told me everything. Has she? Did she tell you that she's been using marital funds to buy you gifts? Did she tell you that she's been lying to me for months while I've been supporting her lifestyle? Did she tell you that she got engaged to you while still married to me? She told me that you've been emotionally distant for years, that you work all the time and never pay attention to her, that she's been lonely and unfulfilled. I showed the messages to Jamie, who looked disgusted. What a load of crap, he said. You work hard to take care of us, and you always paid attention to Mom. She's the one who was always too busy with work or her friends or whatever. Out of the mouths of babes. I typed back, if she was so unhappy, she should have asked for a divorce instead of cheating. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Adults communicate. Children sneak around and lie. You're being unreasonable. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Look, I'm trying to handle this like a gentleman, but if you're going to make this difficult, you're going to what? Threaten me? You're the one who's been sleeping with another man's wife. I'm not the bad guy here. Meet me tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, the Riverside Grill. We can settle this like adults. I stared at the message for a long time. Every instinct I had was telling me not to engage, to let my lawyer handle everything, to avoid any situation that might make things worse. But another part of me, the part that had been humiliated in front of 20 strangers this afternoon, wanted to look Victor Crane in the eye and tell him exactly what I thought of him. Dad? Jamie was watching me carefully. What are you thinking? I'm thinking your mother's boyfriend wants to meet with me tomorrow night. Are you going to do it? I shouldn't. But you're going to anyway. Probably. Jamie grinned. Can I come with you? Absolutely not. Come on, Dad. I want to see you destroy this guy. I'm not going to destroy anybody. I'm just going to have a conversation. Right, Jamie said, but he was still grinning. I looked at my phone again. Victor was waiting for an answer. Against my better judgment, I typed, Fine, 7 o'clock, but this better be worth my time. It will be. I turned off my phone and looked at Jamie. Your mother is going to be very angry when she finds out I'm meeting with him. Good, Jamie said. She deserves to be angry. Smart kid. Definitely too smart for his own good. But he was right about one thing. Elise did deserve to be angry. She deserved a lot of things, and I was just getting started giving them to her. The Riverside Grill was the kind of place that tried too hard to be classy without actually achieving it. Fake wood paneling, dim lighting that was supposed to be romantic, but just made everything look dirty. And a wine list that probably hadn't been updated since the Clinton administration. Perfect place for a conversation I didn't want to have with a man I already despised. Victor was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table with a glass of what looked like expensive scotch. He'd changed out of his work clothes into dark jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than most people's car payments. Everything about him screamed money and privilege, from his perfectly styled hair to his Italian leather shoes. I'd worn my work boots and a flannel shirt, partly because I'd come straight from a job site and partly because I knew it would annoy him. Nick. He stood up when I approached the table, extending his hand like we were old friends meeting for drinks. I ignored the handshake and sat down across from him. Let's get one thing straight, I said. We're not friends, we're not colleagues. You're the man who's been screwing my wife, and I'm the husband you've been betraying. So let's skip the pleasantries and get to whatever it is you want to say. Victor's smile faltered slightly, but he recovered quickly. Fair enough. I appreciate your directness. I doubt that. A waitress appeared at our table, probably in her early 20s, with the kind of forced cheerfulness that suggested she was working for tips, not for fun. Can I get you gentlemen something to drink? Scotch, I said. Whatever you've got that's not overpriced. The same, Victor said, even though he already had a full glass. When the waitress left, Victor leaned back in his chair and studied me like I was a problem he was trying to solve. You're not what I expected, he said finally. What did you expect? Someone older, more worn down. Elise described you as someone who'd given up on life. Elise says a lot of things. Most of them aren't true. She says you work constantly, that you never spend time with her anymore. I work hard to support my family. That's what husbands do. Is it? Or is it what you do to avoid dealing with problems at home? The waitress returned with my scotch. I took a sip and let Victor's question hang in the air for a moment. You want to know what the problems at home were? I said finally. My wife was cheating on me with her boss. That was the problem. Everything else was just symptoms. The cheating started because she was lonely. The cheating started because she's selfish and dishonest. Victor's jaw tightened. You don't know her like I do. I've been married to her for 18 years. How long have you known her? 8 months. 8 months. I laughed. And in 8 months, you think you understand her better than I do? I understand what she needs. What she needs is a divorce lawyer because that's what she's going to get. Victor took a long sip of his scotch, and I could see him trying to control his temper. Good. I wanted him angry. Angry people made mistakes. Look, he said, I didn't ask you here to fight about who knows Elise better. I asked you here because I want to make this as painless as possible for everyone involved. Painless for who? You? Because it's already pretty painful for me. For all of us. Including your son. The mention of Jamie made my blood pressure spike. Leave my son out of this. He's going to be affected by how we handle this situation. If you and Elise can come to an amicable agreement, there is no we in this situation. There's me There's my cheating wife, and there's you, the man she's been cheating with. Jamie will be fine because he's going to live with me. Are you sure about that? Something in his tone made me look at him more carefully. What's that supposed to mean? Elise is a good mother. She loves Jamie. She has a funny way of showing it. Blowing up his family on Valentine's Day doesn't strike me as particularly maternal. She didn't plan for it to happen that way. How did she plan for it to happen? Was she going to wait until after graduation? After college? When exactly was she planning to tell me that she'd been living a double life? Victor didn't answer, which was answer enough. She wasn't planning to tell me at all, was she? I said. She was just going to keep both lives going for as long as possible. It's complicated. No, it's not. It's actually very simple. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Keep the security of being married to me while having her fun with you. That's not how it was. Then how was it? Victor drained his scotch glass and signaled the waitress for another. She was trapped in a marriage that wasn't working. She found something real with me, but she didn't know how to get out of her situation without hurting people. So instead, she decided to hurt people anyway, just in a more spectacular fashion. She made a mistake. She made a choice. Multiple choices over a period of months. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern of behavior. The waitress brought Victor his second drink. He took a large gulp before continuing. I want to marry her, he said. I got that impression when you proposed to her this afternoon. I mean really marry her. Not some symbolic gesture, but a real wedding. A real life together. Then you're going to have to wait for our divorce to be finalized. How long will that take? Depends on how cooperative she wants to be. What if I could make it worth your while to be cooperative? I set down my drink and looked at him carefully. Are you trying to bribe me? I'm trying to find a solution that works for everyone. The solution is simple. She files for divorce, we split our assets according to state law, and you two live happily ever after, or don't. I really don't care. What if there was a way to make the financial aspect more favorable to you? Keep talking. Victor leaned forward, lowering his voice like he was sharing state secrets. I'm willing to compensate you for the inconvenience this situation has caused. Compensate me. Yes. You want to pay me to divorce my wife so you can marry her? I want to make sure you're not financially disadvantaged by this situation. I stared at him for a long moment, trying to decide if he was serious. How much are we talking about? How much would it take? You really think this is about money? Isn't everything? And there it was. The fundamental difference between us. Victor Crane thought everything had a price, that every problem could be solved by throwing enough money at it. He probably thought I was just another blue-collar guy who could be bought off with a big enough check. He was wrong. Let me tell you something about money, I said. I've got plenty of it. My construction business is worth about $2 million. I own my house free and clear. I've got retirement accounts, investment portfolios, and enough cash in the bank to last me the rest of my life if I'm careful. Victor looked surprised. Elise said you were struggling financially. Elise says a lot of things. Most of them aren't true, remember? Then what do you want? I want my wife to stop cheating on me, but since that's not going to happen, I want a divorce. And I want to never see you again after tonight. That's it? That's it. Victor sat back in his chair, looking frustrated. There has to be something you want. Everyone wants something. You know what I wanted? I wanted a wife who wouldn't cheat on me. I wanted to grow old with the woman I married. I wanted my son to have parents who respected each other enough not to humiliate each other in public. But since you can't have those things, since I can't have those things, I want the next best thing. I want both of you out of my life as quickly and completely as possible. What about Jamie? What about him? Elise wants joint custody. Elise can want whatever she likes. Jamie is 16 years old. He gets to choose where he lives, and he's already chosen. She's his mother. She was his mother when she decided to cheat on his father. She was his mother when she decided to get engaged to another man without telling either of us. She was his mother when she decided to humiliate our family in public. You're going to turn him against her. I don't have to turn him against her. She did that all by herself. Victor's face was getting red now. The scotch and the frustration were combining to make him less careful with his words. You think you're so much better than her, he said. But you're not. You're just as selfish as she is. How do you figure that? You're using your son as a weapon against her. I'm protecting my son from a mother who cares more about her own happiness than his emotional well-being. She loves him. If she loved him, she would have handled this situation differently. She loves him, and she loves me, and she's trying to figure out how to make it all work. It doesn't work. That's the point. You can't have everything you want in life without consequences. She made her choice when she started sleeping with you. Now she gets to live with the consequences. Victor finished his second scotch and slammed the glass down on the table hard enough to make the silverware rattle. You're a cold fool, aren't you? I'm a realist. She deserves better than this. She deserves exactly what she's getting. And what's that? A divorce? A custody battle she's going to lose, and a reputation as the woman who cheated on her husband with her boss. You son of a witch. Careful, Victor. Your true colors are starting to show. He stood up abruptly, throwing a $20 bill on the table. This conversation is over. It was over before it started. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting an hour of my life listening to you try to justify what you've done. Victor leaned down, putting his face close to mine. I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to give her everything you never could. Good luck with that. And when this is all over, when she's happy and you're alone, remember that you chose this. I didn't choose anything. She made the choice when she decided to cheat. You made the choice when you decided to sleep with a married woman. I'm just dealing with the consequences of your choices. Victor straightened up, his face twisted with anger. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. Your lawyer? What does your lawyer have to do with my divorce? Elise is going to need legal representation. Then she can hire her own lawyer, with her own money. I'm going to make sure she gets everything she's entitled to. You do that. Victor turned and walked away, weaving slightly between the tables. The scotch had hit him harder than he'd realized, or maybe it was the conversation. Either way, I was glad to see him go. I finished my drink and left a tip for the waitress, who'd had to witness our entire awkward conversation. As I walked to my truck, I felt my phone buzzing in my pocket. 3 missed calls from Elise. I didn't call her back. Instead, I drove home to Jamie, who was waiting up for me with homework spread across the kitchen table and a dozen questions about how the meeting had gone. So, he said as soon as I walked in, how was it? About what I expected. Did you punch him? No. Did you want to punch him? Yes, Jamie grinned. What did he say? I sat down across from him and gave him the abbreviated version. When I finished, Jamie was shaking his head in disgust. He tried to bribe you? He tried to bribe me. What a dirtbag. Language. Sorry, what a complete and total dirtbag. I laughed despite everything. That's better. So, what happens now? Now we wait for your mother to come home so I can tell her that she needs to find somewhere else to live. She's going to flip out. Probably. Can I watch? Absolutely not. But I was smiling when I said it, and so was he. Outside, I could hear a car pulling into the driveway. Elise, coming home from whatever she'd been doing since the office disaster this afternoon. Showtime, Jamie said. Go to your room. Dad? Go to your room. This is between your mother and me. Jamie gathered up his homework reluctantly. If you need backup, just yell. I'll be fine. I know you will, but she won't be. Smart kid, too smart for his own good. But he was right about one thing. This conversation was going to be ugly, and Elise definitely wasn't going to be fine when it was over. I heard her key in the front door and took a deep breath. Round 2 was about to begin. Elise walked into the kitchen like she was walking into a minefield, which wasn't far from the truth. Her makeup was smudged, her hair was disheveled, and she looked like she'd been crying for hours. Good. We need to talk, she said, setting her purse down on the counter. No, we don't. I need to talk. You need to listen. She pulled out one of the kitchen chairs and sat down across from me, the same spot where Jamie had been doing homework just minutes before. The contrast wasn't lost on me. My son, working hard on his future. My wife, trying to figure out how to justify destroying our family. How did your meeting with Victor go? She asked. About as well as you'd expect. He tried to bribe me. Elise's eyes widened. He what? He offered to pay me to cooperate with the divorce. Apparently he thinks I'm some kind of gold digger who can be bought off. That's not... He wouldn't. He did. Which tells me everything I need to know about the kind of man you're planning to marry. Elise put her face in her hands. This is such a mess. Yes, it is. A mess that you created. I never meant for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen? Were you planning to tell me about Victor at some point? Or were you just going to keep living a double life indefinitely? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. That's what I thought, I said. You were perfectly happy to keep lying to me for as long as you could get away with it. It's not that simple, Nick. Stop saying that. It is that simple. You made a choice to cheat on me. You made a choice to lie to me. You made a choice to get engaged to another man while you're still married to me. Those were all conscious decisions. I was unhappy. So get a divorce. Don't cheat. I didn't know how to tell you. You could have started with the truth. Elise looked up at me and I could see the tears starting again. I was scared. Of what? Of hurting you, of breaking up our family, of starting over. So instead, you decided to do all of those things in the most humiliating way possible. I fell in love with him, Nick. I didn't plan it. It just happened. Bees. She flinched at my language, but I was past caring about her delicate sensibilities. You didn't fall into his bed by accident, I continued. You didn't accidentally start lying to me about where you were spending your time. You didn't accidentally get engaged to him this afternoon. I know you're angry. I'm not angry, Elise. I'm done. What does that mean? It means I've filed for divorce. It means I've removed you from all of our joint accounts. It means I've canceled the credit cards you've been using to buy gifts for your boyfriend. And it means you need to find somewhere else to live. The color drained from her face. You can't kick me out of my own house. It's not your house. It's my house. I bought it before we were married. I pay the mortgage, and my name is the only one on the deed. But I live here. I have rights. You had rights. You gave them up when you decided to cheat on me. That's not how the law works. Actually, it is. I talked to my lawyer this afternoon. In cases of infidelity, the court can grant exclusive use and occupancy to the innocent spouse. Elise stared at me like I'd slapped her. You're really going to make me homeless? I'm not making you anything. You made your choice. Victor has a house, doesn't he? Go live with him. I can't just move in with him. We're not ready for that. You were ready to get engaged to him this afternoon. That's different. How is it different? Getting engaged is symbolic. Living together it's a big step. I laughed, and it came out harsh. You've been sleeping with him for 6 months, but living with him is a big step? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You want to have your cake and eat it too. You want the excitement of a new relationship without giving up the security of being married to me? That's not true, isn't it? If you were really ready to be with Victor, you would have asked me for a divorce months ago. Instead, you've been trying to keep both lives going. Elise was crying openly now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no urge to comfort her, no instinct to make her feel better. After 18 years of marriage, that surprised me more than anything else. Where am I supposed to go? She asked. That's not my problem anymore. What about my things? Pack what you need tonight. I'll have the rest of your stuff delivered wherever you want it. Nick, please, can't we work this out? Can we try counseling or something? Work what out? The fact that you cheated on me? The fact that you lied to me for months? The fact that you got engaged to another man while still married to me? People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a calculated betrayal that went on for months. I still love you. The words hung in the air between us like a physical presence. For a moment, neither of us spoke. No, you don't, I said finally. I do. I love you and I love Victor. I know that doesn't make sense, but it's true. If you loved me, you wouldn't have cheated on me. It's possible to love two people at the same time. Maybe it is, but it's not possible to be married to two people at the same time. You made your choice. I chose Victor because I thought you didn't want me anymore. I brought you flowers this afternoon. I had tickets to Paris in my pocket. How is that not wanting you? You've been working constantly. We never spend time together anymore. We never talk. I work hard to support our family, and we never talk because you're never here. You're always at the office or out with friends or doing something that doesn't involve me. Because you never want to do anything. I asked you to go to dinner last weekend. You said you were too tired. I asked you to go to a movie the weekend before that. You said you had plans with Brianna. Those weren't real invitations. You were just going through the motions. How do you know what I was doing? Did you ask me? Did you try to make other plans? Or did you just assume I didn't mean it and use that as an excuse to spend time with Victor instead? Elise didn't answer, which was answer enough. You've been looking for reasons to justify what you've done, I said. But there are no reasons. There are only excuses. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm so sorry. I'm sure you are. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry it happened in such a public way. You're sorry you have to deal with the consequences. But you're not sorry you did it. That's not true. If you were really sorry you did it, you would have ended it with Victor and tried to save our marriage. Instead, you got engaged to him. I panicked. You made a choice. What about Jamie? Are you going to let me see my son? Jamie is 16 years old. He can see whoever he wants to see. But you're going to turn him against me. I don't have to turn him against you. He saw what you did today. He knows what kind of person you are. I'm still his mother. Yes, you are. And he's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. Elise stood up abruptly, knocking her chair backward. You're a fool, Nick Harlan. Maybe I am, but I'm not a cheater. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting 18 years of my life with someone who could do what you've done. Victor was right about you. What did Victor say about me? He said you were cold and selfish, and that I deserved better. Victor doesn't know me. And apparently, neither do you. I know you well enough to know that you're enjoying this. Am I? You think I'm enjoying watching my marriage fall apart? You think I'm enjoying having my family destroyed? You think I'm enjoying being humiliated in front of your entire office? I think you're enjoying making me suffer. You're making yourself suffer. I'm just not stopping you. Elise picked up her purse and headed toward the stairs. I'm going to pack a bag. Take your time. This isn't over, Nick. Yes, it is. I'll fight you for everything. The house, the business, custody of Jamie. Everything. You do that? She started up the stairs, then turned back to face me. You used to be a good man. I'm still a good man. I'm just not your man anymore. After she disappeared upstairs, I sat alone in my kitchen, listening to the sounds of her moving around in our bedroom. Drawers opening and closing, hangers scraping against the closet rod, the soft thud of items being thrown into a suitcase. The sounds of 18 years of marriage coming to an end. My phone buzzed with a text message from Jamie. Is it over? I texted back, almost. Are you okay? I'm fine. Do you want me to come downstairs? Stay in your room until she leaves. Okay. Love you, Dad. Love you too. 20 minutes later, Elise came back downstairs with 2 suitcases and a garment bag. She changed into jeans and a sweater, and she'd fixed her makeup. She looked like she was going on a business trip, not leaving her husband. I'll be staying at the Marriott downtown for a few days, she said. Until I can figure out something more permanent. Fine. I want to see Jamie before I go. He's doing homework. I want to see my son, Nick. I called upstairs. Jamie, your mother wants to say goodbye. A few moments later, Jamie appeared at the top of the stairs. He looked down at Elise with an expression I couldn't quite read. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. I'm going to be staying at a hotel for a little while, but I'll call you tomorrow, okay? Okay. I love you. I love you too, Mom. But he didn't come downstairs, and he didn't ask when he'd see her again. Elise looked at me one more time. This isn't how I wanted things to end. Then you shouldn't have started them. She picked up her bags and walked toward the front door. I didn't offer to help her carry anything. At the door, she turned back one final time. When you get lonely, when you realize what you've lost, don't come looking for me. I'll be with someone who appreciates me. I'm sure you will be. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and then she was gone. Jamie came downstairs a few minutes later and found me still sitting at the kitchen table. How do you feel? He asked. Tired, but relieved? I thought about it for a moment. Yeah, relieved. Me too. You okay with all this, with your mom leaving? Jamie sat down across from me in the chair Elise had vacated. Dad, can I tell you something? Always. I've been waiting for this to happen for a long time. What do you mean? I mean, I could tell you guys weren't happy. I could tell Mom was different, distracted, like she was thinking about something else all the time. Why didn't you say anything? What was I supposed to say? Hey, Dad, I think Mom might be cheating on you. I didn't know for sure, and I hoped I was wrong. But you weren't surprised when it happened? No, I wasn't surprised. We sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, both of us processing the events of the day. Dad? Yeah? Are you going to be okay? I'm going to be fine. We both are. Promise? Promise. And for the first time since I'd walked into Elise's office that afternoon, I really meant it. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my lawyer's office reviewing the divorce papers that would officially end my marriage to Elise Harlan. Mike Rodriguez had done good work. The settlement was fair, which meant Elise was going to hate it. She's not going to sign this, Mike said, sliding the documents across his desk to me. Why not? Because she's not getting half of everything. The infidelity changes things significantly. How significantly? She gets to keep her car, her personal belongings, and her retirement account. That's it. What about alimony? Given the circumstances, I don't think she'll get any. She was working full-time when the marriage ended. She's capable of supporting herself, and she was the one who committed infidelity. And the house? Yours. It was your separate property before the marriage, and you've been paying the mortgage alone. Business? Also yours. She had no involvement in the day-to-day operations, and again, the infidelity factor works in your favor. I signed my name on the appropriate lines and handed the papers back to Mike. When does she get served? Tomorrow morning, at her office. That should be interesting. Mike grinned. I thought you might appreciate the poetic justice. My phone rang as I was leaving Mike's office. Victor Crane. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want, Victor? We need to talk. We already talked. I wasn't impressed. This is different. It's about the divorce settlement. What about it? Elise is getting screwed, and you know it. Elise screwed herself when she decided to cheat on me. She deserves half of everything you've built together. She deserves what the law says she deserves, which isn't much. I'm not going to let you destroy her financially. You're not going to let me? Who the hell do you think you are? I'm the man who loves her. You're the man who helped her destroy her marriage. There's a difference. Meet me tonight. Same place as before. Why would I do that? Because I have something you want. I doubt that. Information about your wife that you don't know. Ex-wife. And I don't care what information you have. You will when you hear it. Victor, I'm going to say this one more time. Stay out of my divorce. Stay away from me. And if you ever threaten me again, you're going to regret it. Is that a threat? It's a promise. I hung up and drove home, where Jamie was waiting with news of his own. Mom called, he said as soon as I walked in the door. What did she want? She wants me to have dinner with her and Victor tomorrow night. Do you want to? Jamie made a face. Not really, but I guess I should, right? She's still my mom. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. I know, but if I don't go, she'll just keep calling. Then go. But if you're uncomfortable at any point, call me and I'll come get you. Thanks, Dad. The next morning, I was in my office at the construction company when my secretary buzzed me. Nick, there's a woman here to see you. Says her name is Brianna Chen. Brianna Chen, one of Elise's co-workers from the office disaster 3 weeks ago. What could she possibly want? Send her in. Brianna looked nervous as she entered my office. She was dressed in business casual, and she kept fidgeting with her purse strap. Mr. Harlan, thank you for seeing me. What can I do for you, Brianna? I wanted to apologize for what happened at the office. The way everyone acted, it wasn't right. You don't need to apologize. You weren't the one who got engaged to another man while still married. No, but I should have said something. I should have warned you. Warned me about what? Brianna sat down in the chair across from my desk and took a deep breath. About Elise and Victor. Everyone in the office knew about their relationship. We all knew she was married, and we all knew what they were doing. How long did everyone know? Months. They weren't exactly subtle about it. And nobody thought to mention it to me? It wasn't our place. At least that's what we told ourselves. But now you're here. Now I'm here because I feel guilty. And because I think you should know the truth about what's been going on. What truth? Brianna reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. Victor asked me to give this to you. What is it? I don't know. He said it was information you needed to have. I took the envelope but didn't open it. Why didn't he give it to me himself? Because he's a coward. And because he knows you hate him. Smart man. Brianna stood up to leave, then turned back to face me. Mr. Harlan, for what it's worth, I think Elise made a huge mistake. You seem like a good man. Thank you. After she left, I stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. Inside were photocopies of emails, text messages, and what looked like credit card statements. All of them involving Elise, but not just with Victor. The emails were from 3 different men, all of them romantic in nature. The text messages were explicit. The credit card statements showed charges at hotels, restaurants, and jewelry stores going back 2 years. 2 years. My hands were shaking as I read through the documents. Elise hadn't just been cheating on me with Victor. She'd been cheating on me with multiple men for years, and I'd been too stupid or too trusting to notice. My phone rang. Victor again. This time I answered on the first ring. You son of a witch. I take it you got my package. How long have you known about this? I found out about the others after we started dating. She told me she'd had a few affairs, but that I was different. And you believed her? I wanted to believe her, but now you don't. Now I know she's been lying to both of us. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Well, why are you showing me this? Because she's been playing us against each other, and I'm tired of it. What do you mean? She's been telling you that she loves me and wants to be with me. She's been telling me that she loves you and feels guilty about leaving you. She's been telling both of us whatever she thinks we want to hear. So what do you want from me? I want to make a deal. What kind of deal? I'll testify on your behalf in the divorce proceedings. I'll provide evidence of her infidelity, her lies, everything. In exchange, you give me copies of any evidence you have against her. Why would you do that? Because I don't want to marry a woman who's been lying to me from day one. You're breaking up with her? I already did. This morning, I sat back in my chair trying to process this information. She must have taken that well. She threatened to sue me for breach of promise. Can she do that? Probably not, but she can make my life miserable for a while. So you want to make her life miserable first? I want to make sure she doesn't destroy either of us. I looked at the documents spread across my desk. Evidence of years of betrayal, years of lies, years of me being played for a fool. I'll think about it, I said. Don't think too long. She's already talking to lawyers about going after both of us. For what? You for emotional distress. Me for breach of promise and sexual maltreatment. Sexual maltreatment? She's claiming I coerced her into the relationship by threatening her job. Did you? Of course not. But that doesn't mean she can't make the accusation. After Victor hung up, I sat in my office for a long time, staring at the evidence of my wife's betrayal. Multiple affairs, years of lies, and now she was planning to sue both of us for the privilege of having been deceived by her. I called Mike Rodriguez. Mike, it's Nick. We need to meet. Tonight. What's wrong? I just found out that my wife's infidelity was a lot more extensive than we thought. How extensive? Multiple partners over multiple years. Mike whistled low. That changes things. How much? With that kind of evidence, she might not get anything. Good. Nick, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm just ready for this to be over. That evening, Jamie came home from his dinner with Elise, and Victor looking shell-shocked. How did it go? I asked. Weird. Really weird. What happened? Well, first of all, Mom and Victor were barely speaking to each other. They kept making these passive-aggressive comments, and the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Did they say why they were fighting? Not directly, but Victor made some comment about Mom not being honest with him, and Mom said something about Victor not being the man she thought he was. Anything else? Mom spent most of the dinner trying to convince me that you were being unreasonable about the divorce settlement. She said you were trying to leave her with nothing. What did you tell her? I told her that maybe she should have thought about that before she cheated on you. How did she react to that? She started crying. Then Victor got mad at me for making her cry. Then I got mad at Victor for yelling at me. It was a disaster. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It's okay. But Dad? Yeah? I don't want to have dinner with them again. You don't have to. Mom's going to be upset. Let me worry about your mother. The next morning, I met with Mike Rodriguez and showed him the evidence Victor had provided. Mike's eyes got wider with each document he reviewed. Jesus Christ, Nick, she's been busy. How does this affect the divorce? She's not getting anything. Not the house, not alimony, not a share of your business. Nothing. What about custody? With this kind of evidence of moral unfitness, you'll get full custody if you want it. I want it. Consider it done. 2 hours later, Elise called me screaming, "You fool! You had me served at work again." It seemed appropriate. Everyone saw the papers. Everyone knows what you're accusing me of. Everyone already knew what you did. The papers just made it official. You're trying to destroy me. I'm trying to get divorced. The settlement you're offering is insulting. The settlement I'm offering is generous, considering the circumstances. I'm not signing anything. Then we'll go to trial and a judge will decide. With the evidence I have, I don't think you'll like the outcome. What evidence? All of it, Elise. Everything. The line went quiet for a moment. I don't know what you think you have. I have emails, text messages, credit card statements, hotel receipts, and witness testimony. I have evidence of multiple affairs over multiple years. I have evidence that you used marital funds to support your affairs. And I have a 16-year-old son who's willing to testify about how your behavior has affected him. You wouldn't use Jamie against me. I wouldn't have to. He volunteered. Another long silence. Victor gave you that information, didn't he? Does it matter where it came from? That son of a witch. I should have known he'd turn on me. Maybe you should have been more careful about who you trusted. This isn't over, Nick. Yes, it is. And this time, I really meant it. 3 days later, Elise signed the divorce papers. She got her car, her clothes, and her personal belongings. Everything else stayed with me. The marriage that had lasted 18 years was officially over. Jamie and I celebrated with pizza and a movie. Just the two of us in our house, finally free from the lies and drama that had consumed our lives for months. How do you feel? Jamie asked as the credits rolled. Free, I said. How about you? Same. Any regrets? Just one. What's that? I wish I'd figured out what Mom was doing sooner. Maybe I could have saved you some pain. You couldn't have saved me anything. This was between your mother and me. But if I had said something, then I would have found out sooner, but the end result would have been the same. Your mother made her choices, and now she's living with the consequences. Do you think she's sorry? I think she's sorry she got caught. That's not the same thing. No, it's not. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, both of us processing the end of an era. Dad? Yeah? I'm proud of you. For what? For not letting her get away with it. For standing up for yourself. For protecting us. I didn't do anything special, Jamie. I just did what I had to do. That's what made it special. 6 months later, I heard through the grapevine that Elise had moved to another city and taken a job with a different company. Victor had also left town, apparently to avoid the fallout from their very public breakup. I didn't care where either of them went or what they did with their lives. They were no longer my problem. Jamie and I were doing fine on our own. Better than fine, actually. Without the constant tension and drama of a failing marriage, our house felt peaceful for the first time in years. I'd started dating again, nothing serious. Just dinner and movies with a nice woman I'd met at a construction industry conference. Jamie approved of her, which was important to me. Life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And after years of living with lies, honesty felt like a luxury I'd forgotten I could afford. One evening, as Jamie and I were finishing dinner, he looked up from his homework and said, Dad, do you ever miss her? Your mother? Yeah. I thought about it for a moment. I miss the woman I thought I was married to, but that woman never really existed. That's sad. Maybe, but it's also liberating. How so? Because now I know the truth. And the truth, even when it's painful, is always better than a lie. Jamie nodded thoughtfully. I think I understand. Good. Because that's the most important lesson I can teach you. Always tell the truth, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I will, Dad. I know you will. And I did know it. Because despite everything that had happened, despite all the pain and betrayal and lies, something good had come out of it all. I had raised a son who understood the value of honesty. A son who would never put someone he loved through what his mother had put me through. That was worth something. That was worth everything.